Hello, my friends. This is Jason Gawley coming to you live from my home office in Utah, United States of America, where TruIQ's headquarters are founded right here in the United States of America. And it's my pleasure to be sharing with you, as one of the co-founders of TruIQ, some specific details about the three most important products in the TruIQ lineup. Yesterday, we talked about TruCoin, and some of us were asking, where does the value of TruCoin come from? From whence is it derived? And of course, all members of TruIQ who are watching this know that TruCoin is a product-based coin. It has intrinsic value, and it's deriving its own value from product sales, real activity. Those activities are primarily driven by what we see here on the screen today. And so what we have a chance to do now is talk about these three different products in the TruIQ lineup that are changing everything about natural medicines and whether or not something organic, natural, and safe can really work. And one of the primary questions we get in TruIQ is, I'm so tired of my meds. Do you have a solution for me? Is there something I could be doing that doesn't require me to go to a pharmacy every week, every month, and talk to my doctor and spend all the money I have to do with my doctor, and those kinds of questions? And invariably, it brings us down to these three products that we're going to be sharing with you here today. But the first one that we ought to focus our details on and discussion on is, in this regard, CBX4. That's the one we saw just on the previous screen, because we know that CBX4, by working on the neurotransmitters and by virtue of the natural medicines that are grown right here in Utah, United States of America, at CBX4 farms, they address every single one of these things we see on the screen and even more, regardless of our age. And I want to be very clear on this. We know that sometimes members of TruIQ say, gosh, but Jason, I don't have any health problems today, so why should I be interested in any of this? Well, that is why we want to have this conversation with you, because even if you do sleep well, and if you have no intimacy issues whatsoever, maybe you don't even know what depression, anxiety, or pain feels like, or maybe you've never had low energy, the reality is most of us do. A lot of us have struggles with sleep. We have problems in the bedroom, depression, pain, anxiety, the trifecta of misery, I call it, and low energy. These are very common in the world today, particularly here in the United States. And by solving those issues naturally, safely, and organically, well, now we've got something really interesting to talk about. And when we also consider the fact that CBX4 also addresses the issues you see here on the screen, whether it be liver and kidney functions, heart health. Even at the bottom right of the screen, you can see viral issues. We don't have time to get into all of these, but even viral issues. We know that CBX4, in all of its forms, does in fact block the entry of viruses into cells. And even if somehow a virus happens to penetrate a cell, CBX4 will facilitate the exit of that virus from that cell. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. What is CBX4, and what are these natural medicines? I think we all know intrinsically and intuitively that when we're born and as we grow up, our bodies make a lot of natural medicines. Well, these natural medicines control nearly everything in our bodies. They're called endocannabinoids. We call them natural medicines. Most people call them natural medicines, but they have a particular terminology called endocannabinoid, and they work as neurotransmitters. Basically, they make all of our systems work together and make each one of our systems work better. So if you can think about how our brain has to tell our heart to beat and pump, there are not only the issues for the brain and issues for the heart, but there are also those connective mechanisms to make sure they're communicating properly. These natural medicines, endocannabinoids, perform that function. Now, as we get older, and not necessarily just as we get older, but also as we eat bad foods with toxins in them, as we live in dirty environments, as we have stress, anxiety, depression, as our health goes down for all the myriad reasons we know our health goes down over time, the question then really ought to become, if we can't make enough of these natural medicines because of all of these factors, what do we do? And the answer is, well, we can now take them. But where do we take them from? Where can we get them? We now know that these natural medicines are available from a phyto source, from a plant-derived source. Each one of these endocannabinoids that I'm about to explain to you replicate AG2 and anandamide and those natural medicines that our bodies are supposed to be making a lot of. So, but what do they look like from the plant source, and how do they relate to our endo or our body-produced source? Consider this. You've all heard about CBD. We all know about CBD. The reason CBD became popular in the first place is because it happens to be one of those plant-derived natural phytocannabinoids that replicates a part of those natural medicines that our bodies should already be making a lot of. But what most of us don't know is that cannabinol, cannabigerol, and cannabichromine are also available from phytosources, from plant-based sources, in this case from CBX4 farms, that can almost entirely, to a 98% level, replicate, augment, and even duplicate those natural medicine levels that our bodies need in order for us to live the lifestyle and live physiologically in the bodies that we should be living in at our age. So ask yourself this question: how old am I? Not me, no, you. Ask yourself, how old are you? And then ask yourself this question: at my age, should I feel, look, act younger or older? That's a pretty good litmus test. It's not a guarantee, but it's a pretty good litmus test, because generally speaking, those of us who are of a certain age and feel older, look older than we are, it's because our natural medicine levels are low. And the same thing happens for those 95-year-olds who are still playing tennis. Their natural medicine levels are high. Well, for those of us who don't have high natural medicine levels, for all the reasons we talked about and a bunch more, there is a solution. It's called CBX4 in the form of all the TruIQ products. You see, all four of these natural medicines are combined into one single formulation called CBX4 and available in different applications. As you can see on the left of the screen, there's what's called the CBX4 Sublingual Complete Medical Blend. That's the most concentrated version of CBX4. That has the most of all four of these natural medicines in it. It's meant to be used twice a day under the tongue, maximum. Now, but also you can see at the bottom of the screen and over to your right, there are some transdermal applications as well for these same natural medicines, which means they go through your skin. Now, whether you put these natural medicines into your body, back into your bloodstream, sublingually or buccally, meaning in your mouth and under your tongue, or through your epidermis, dermis, and subcutaneous down through your skin, essentially into your bloodstream, it doesn't really matter. What does matter is there is a chance for us to live the life that we finally should be living at our age. And I also want to say this. Remember, a few slides ago, we talked about intimacy, depression, pain, anxiety. Well, some of those things are not necessarily age related, but they do make us feel older. And some of us might even be, in our 20s, early 30s, and still have intimacy issues. Well, CBX4 is the solution. And it's one of many types of solutions that can come to us if we simply give CBX4 a try. So remember, members of TruIQ, this training is all about remembering these four natural medicines: the CBC cannabichromine, the CBG cannabigerol, the CBN cannabinol, and CBD cannabidiol. They all combine in our bloodstream, regardless of how they're absorbed, and produce a super cannabinoid, which makes CBX4 in all of its forms that mechanism that helps us restore our health, boost our immune system, and overcome so many of those issues that we talked about before. The second of the three products we'll talk about really quickly is Silky Smooth. Now, I know members here of TruIQ, Silky Smooth was not available for a couple of weeks. Now you know why. Silky Smooth has been upgraded into a bigger bottle with a more interesting label. What you see here on the screen is a representation exactly of that. The gold CBX, or the gold Silky Smooth rather, on the left of the screen is the old bottle, which only had 1 ounce of Silky Smooth in it. Now, Silky Smooth has 1.7 ounces, but it's only a few dollars more expensive. So there's much greater value now in Silky Smooth. The question, of course, now I'm sure you're asking is it the same formula? Yes, it is exactly the same formula, but now it's bigger and looks even better. So what is Silky Smooth? Members of TruIQ, we have to remember that Silky Smooth is the anti-aging serum. It's the organic, natural, safe way to address all the things you see here on the screen, all the way from stretch marks and scarring down to fine lines, wrinkles, and just generally that aging that is visible on the outside. And I think Maria, thank heaven she was willing to go through that trial. I think her before and after photos are representative exactly what we can all expect from using Silky Smooth. But there's something here that I'd like to draw your attention to. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go down 5 bullet points on the screen and you can see hair shine. Now, hair shine is kind of a fun way to say that Silky Smooth not only gives your hair its shine back, but in fact reverses the aging on your scalp as well. So in addition to doing all the fun things that Silky Smooth does from an anti-aging perspective on your skin, you can also and should also use it in your hair. For instance, I styled my hair today with my Silky Smooth. I love my Silky for all the reasons you see here on the screen. But there's also something here we don't really talk about much, but I'd like to mention really quickly, and that is with shaving. Guys, I promise you, whatever shave cream you're using, toss it out the window and get some Silky Smooth. You will not have razor burn ever again. Ladies, especially if you shave those really sensitive parts on your body, legs and everywhere else, toss out whatever you've been using and start using Silky Smooth for 2 reasons. Not only will you not have the razor burn, but it's also going to make sure that the skin whereon you've been using the Silky Smooth looks younger, feels a lot softer, and far more silky. And wherever you shave, I mean, wherever you shave, use Silky Smooth. And I promise you, you will love the results and your partner will love the results even more. For those of us who are interested in those details, what makes Silky so different? We rarely talk about this. Have a look at the bottom right of the screen. Silky Smooth ingredients, the key ingredients anyway, are just as what we see here. Argan oil, Oryza sativa, grapeseed, natural dimethicone, jojoba, meadowfoam, natural squalling, and antioxidants, also micronutrients, vitamins and minerals, and Plucanaceae volubilis. Now, all of these individually might kind of sound a little bit confusing, but if we break those down, we can understand why they're all in Silky Smooth and how by combining them, they make a huge difference. Look at argan oil, for instance. I'm guessing most of us ladies here, or you ladies who have been using some kind of fancy shampoo, there's probably argan oil in it. Not this quality, but it's probably had some kind of argan oil in it. Why argan oil? Because it does these things. It's proven to do these things and has these benefits specifically. The contents of argan oil are such that they precipitate an anti-aging function in the hair and on the scalp topically in ways that very few other natural remedies can. But argan oil, once again, is only one of the few contents in Silky Smooth. Consider the grapeseed oil. We know it's antioxidative, free radical fighting possibilities, which will help us stave off all those terrible UV rays and make sure that we, even if we are out in the sun, don't look like luggage in a few years. That's what it does. The natural dimethicone is that barrier that blocks all that funk from the environment from penetrating into our hair and our scalp and into our skin. The meadow foam is an excellent exfoliator and also brings the moisture to the surface. So if you do want your skin to kind of plump up, look more like baby skin, that's the way you do it. The same thing happens with jojoba oil and squalene. So if you want more details about this, we can certainly circle back later and talk about each one of those ingredients. But as members of TruIQ, remember the reason we're having this discussion here today is because so many members of TruIQ say, I want to share the good news of TruIQ. I especially know how much money I get to make when I share the good news of TruIQ with other people, like my 50% first order bonus. And I know that I'm earning a long-term financial legacy in TrueCoin. But what is that foundation? Well, we talked about the CBX4 in its different forms. We talked about Silky Smooth for just a second. Now let's end on Micro. Micro is one of my most favorite products here in TruIQ because it is unique to TruIQ in this sense. The ingredients in Micro up until now have been exclusively and only available to athletes, and specifically professional athletes who could afford $1,200 a month to buy the evodimine, the teacrine, the dynamine, and the alpina galanja. But thank heavens for Dr. Carroll, who's a triathlete, excuse me. He was able to help us formulate Micro, help us secure those contracts, and from a natural organic source, make Micro available to us over the counter. So why, if we're not a professional athlete, would we want Micro? Because Micro has been used by so many of these professional athletes to help them stay trim or even trim down more, tone up, and do it even while they sleep. It's the easy way to energize and do those things we talked about, which means also that it helps their bodies burn off excess fat that shouldn't be there, use the calories they eat in ways that are more effective, meaning they become energy, not fat. It brings down their appetite so they don't want to eat a bunch of candy bars between games and practices. All the while it removes a bunch of those toxins and helps level out their insulin, glucagon, and blood sugar levels. Now, the happy result of those very same activities for you and me as no longer professional athletes is that it helps us do what we see at the left of the screen. If you happen to have weight you want to get rid of, or if you have muscle you want to gain, Micro is the mechanism by which we can accomplish that. As an example here, when Dr. Carroll conducted his clinical trial on weight loss specifically, he was only looking at the weight loss potential of Micro, not the muscle building. That's another trial. But on the weight loss potential of Micro, over 60 days, he learned, as you can see down here on the screen, that the average weight loss was over 6 pounds simply by taking Micro, by changing nothing else in their lifestyle. But we also know from that very same clinical trial that those in the second group who took Micro and were allowed to change small things in their lifestyle, such as maybe take the stairs instead of the elevator, stop eating candy bars and chips and junk food throughout the day, making small changes, those people lost in excess of 30% more weight. We even had a couple who lost over 20 pounds. So, but the reason that works, once again, my friends, is these unique special ingredients: teacrine, dynamine, evodimine, betaine, alpina galanja, and a bunch of other really fun extracts, once again, right here in Micro. It's organic, it is natural, but it is not going to give you a super jittery feel like, say, a caffeine would. These ingredients are specifically designed to boost muscle energy, supercharge musculature so that anytime you make a muscle movement, whenever your body moves, it's going to trigger a metabolic process. And at that point, ideally, you'll have the wherewithal within your bloodstream to make that muscle movement into either a fat burning exercise or a muscle building exercise, depending upon your specific physiological structure and your metabolism. And we can also see here that TruIQ focuses on also here natural energy, mental clarity. It does in fact burn fat, but there's no crash, not like what you dealt with say caffeines and some of those other, couple hour energy burners, all those kinds of terrible things. And dynamine fits right next to TruIQ because it works together with it to boost our metabolic energy, but also enhances mood and focus. Here's one of the things I like most about dynamine is it targets dopamine receptors, so that if you want to enhance your mood, especially say you're going to practice or you have to go walk, maybe you want to go play some tennis, whatever physical activity you want to do, but you're thinking, oh, I don't really want to do it. I mean, I know I need to or should, but I don't want to. If you'll take micro just 20 minutes beforehand, 20 minutes later, you'll say, okay, I'm ready. Where are the balls? Let's go. Let's head off to the court. Let's head off to the field. That's one of the things that happens. But once again, it's not a stimulant and it's not doing this unnaturally. It's unlocking your own body's metabolic processes that also work with the alpina-galanja, the evodimine, and the betaine to elevate your entire metabolic function so that you can live the life you deserve. So my friends, I'd like to end on this really quickly and say this. All members of TruIQ have a chance over the counter, meaning without a prescription, to benefit from all the TruIQ CBX4 benefits in CBX4, all 4 versions, micro and silky smooth. There's no enrollment fee, meaning it's free, right? And you do not need a prescription. And I think most importantly of all, they are guaranteed to work. If you will try any one of these products or all of them for a 30-day trial, you will see a difference. And if you say, I don't, Jason, I took all 60 of the capsules in micro and I felt nothing, send us the empty bottle back and we will refund your money. But most likely what's going to happen is if you take a bottle of micro, 2 capsules in the morning or 2 capsules throughout the day, you will see and feel a big difference. The same thing with your Silky Smooth. If you'll use up one of these bottles and use it regularly every single day, by the end of that month, you won't recognize yourself. And certainly by using any of the CBX4 products, whether it's the sublingual or the transdermal products, you will feel and be different. So my friends, the purpose of this conversation was to remind all of us as members of TruIQ what these products actually do. And to that end, I'd like to now open this up for some questions, and I will gladly answer whatever questions you have. The time is now yours. We have about 4 more minutes. You'll have to unmute your line, though. Go ahead. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask the first question because I got this earlier today via text. Maybe you're too shy to ask this. I had a question. My wife and I are having some struggles with intimacy, and we were wondering exactly which TruIQ product can help us rejoin together and feel that physical relationship as we did when we were younger. Well, that was an excellent question. I was so glad he asked that. And I'll tell you, there are 2 specific ways that I believe, and the doctors tell us, will work best. Number 1 is using the CBX4 sublingual concentrate before your act, before you have that intimate encounter. Use it sublingual. Give yourself a good dose. Secondarily, make sure you have some Silky Smooth on hand. And don't be shy to use Silky Smooth anywhere and everywhere that helps the entire process go better. And I promise you this, as the CBX4 starts to stimulate those neurotransmitters and makes those those nerves more sensitive, and it drives blood flow. Well, actually, driving the blood flow is the micro. Driving that blood flow is going to, guys, help you perform a lot better, and gals, by making sure that we have some Silky Smooth and some CBX4 on hand, I promise you that whatever comes about, you will enjoy the experience. It's all about making sure that our bodies are performing at optimal levels. And that means we have to have strong immune systems. We have to have elevated energy. We have to have enough cognitive function, whether we're thinking about it or not, to be able to have that fun experience. These products are guaranteed to do exactly that. So that's the answer to his question. I'm not going to tell you his name, but that's the answer to his question. So I hope I broke the ice there just a little bit. Have we any other questions here today?
I have a question, Jason. My name is Jessica. I'm calling from, or I'm in from Sacramento.
Yes, Jessica, go ahead.
My question, thank you. My question is, so you mentioned the whole intimacy, and it kind of was I don't maybe it wasn't implied, but let me just ask it like this. For the whole intimacy issue, does that also help women?
Yes, absolutely it does. And so I'm glad you asked this, because I'll be even more clear. So if there, we know, of course, as you know, ladies, as you get a little bit older, there's a certain amount of lubrication and dryness that has to be overcome. Silky Smooth is a fantastic way to do this, but that's only one way, though, because we also want to re-stimulate those nerves that maybe once upon a time were very subject to stimulation, but maybe over time just aren't as reactive as they used to be. And that's where CBX4 comes into play. CBX4, the sublingual concentrate, is very powerful and useful both topically and sublingually. So ladies and gentlemen, use CBX4 on those intimate areas of your body, apply it topically and also orally before, maybe 20, 30 minutes before you plan to have that event. But if you apply it topically, not only will you have greater sensation, but you won't have to worry about any sort of a dryness, any sort of negativity, but the experience itself will be far enhanced. Because once again, what CBX4 is doing is it's restoring those neurological connections. CBX4, specifically the CBD, the CBC, the CBG, and the CBN, by reconnecting those neurotransmitters and those synapses in the brain, they permeate our entire bodies, and they allow us to feel more, react more, focus more. And those very same mechanisms in CBX4 that help us think and see more clearly and understand more clearly also help us feel more intimately. I hope I answered your question.
So Jason, I know that was a great answer. I guess my question is more like, will it help with libido? Like, and which one? Is it the CBX4? If someone's libido, if a lady's libido is down.
Okay. So for libido, specifically libido, if we're not talking about the actual if we're not talking about intercourse specifically and the physical connection of the two, if we're talking about the desire, then I always recommend micro, because as that metabolic booster, when we boost our metabolism, we also boost our libido. But we also want to make sure that we're supercharging our endocrine system, and CBX4 will help us do that. So these two together will replace a blue pill in ways that no other any color pill could ever do.
That makes a lot of sense. And I say that because in the past, when I have lost weight, I've felt as though my libido had increased. So with the micro helping with the whole metabolism and increasing, weight loss and all that, you feel better also, and you feel more, attracted, and you feel more of an attraction to your partner.
Exactly. More attractive and more attracted. And I'd like to bring us back to this slide right here. So remember, one of the things that micro does, there it is, right there. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, that one of the superpowers that micro has is it helps level out hormones. So when your libido gets a little bit out of whack, ladies and guys, I mean, it happens to all of us. Whenever it's out of whack, that of course is because of hormonal levels. Well, micro was specifically designed to level out glucagon, insulin, and well, those two hormones, and then also blood sugar. But by also targeting those three, the happy consequence of that is other hormones in the endocrine system are also normalized. And then at the same time, by elevating that whole metabolic function, imagine if your hormones were back as you were, say, when you were 30, but you also look and feel metabolically speaking as when you were 25. How would sex be then? That's what micro is going to help you do.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Have we any other questions or comments? Remember, guys, this is training. If you have any questions about CBX4 in all of its forms, Silky or micro, now's your time to ask, or now's your time to ask, and I will answer. Stepped on my words there.
I have another question.
Yes, go ahead.
So roughly or approximately, what is the average time of someone starting to reap the benefits of micro? Is it like 2 weeks, or is it usually the whole 30 days?
Well, it depends on which benefits they're looking for. If they're looking for long-term weight loss, it'll be 60 days beyond. If they're looking for mental focus and energy that day, it'll be within 30 minutes. So it really depends on which of the benefits you're looking for from micro. As the smart capsule, it knows what you need. Now, I also have to mention, though, here really quickly before I forget, that never take micro before bed. You always want to take micro in the morning and no later than 6 hours before you go to sleep. And the reason for that is because it is working on your metabolic processes, and it's a very complicated process within the human body. And that process being stimulated by micro is very intelligent, and it knows what you need. And so once again, if I can circle back to your question, how long will it be before I feel the benefits of micro? If you're looking for 6 to 20 pounds of weight loss, then you might need all 60 days. If you're looking for an energy and focus boost that day, you'll feel it within 20 minutes. If you're looking for a musculature enhancement, you want to tone up, say, you're going to need to give it probably the 30 to 60 days as well. So it really comes down to which of these benefits you need. At the bottom of the screen, you can see, the hormones and the blood sugar. What we typically saw was A1C levels did need roughly that 30, 45 days to start really seeing a big difference. But once they start changing, it really becomes precipitous.
Awesome. And then I also remember, if I remember correctly, it might be more beneficial to take 2 micros a day or at a time. And then how many times if we were to take the 2 at one dose? Is it like twice a day?
So very good question. And I'm going to mute your line here. You can unmute yourself back, but we got some background noise. So 2 capsules a day is the recommended dose. There are 60 capsules in this bottle. So this is a 1-month dose, which means you should take 2 capsules a day. Now you can take 2 capsules in the morning. I often recommend, though, that you take 1 capsule when you wake up and take the second capsule at lunchtime, just so you get that sustained metabolic boost throughout the day. It really doesn't matter, but one of the reasons I recommend that is some people were taking 2 in the morning with a cup of coffee, and they found that maybe they were starting to get a little bit gassy, or had a little bit too much energy, a little bit too much focus. and wanted to spread that out throughout the day. So it really comes down to your current circumstances physiologically. Can you handle 2 in the morning? If you can, that's perfect. If not, take 1 in the morning and then 1 at lunch.
Awesome. Thank
And also, let me
you so
also
much.
add this, please, too. This is very important. Because micro, as you can see on the screen, it's going to help us use calories in ways that become energy, not fat. If you happen to be one of those people who eats a lot of rice, bread, pasta, and sugar, you're going to likely get some bloating. And that's because micro will be overwhelmed by all of those simple carbohydrates and even some of the slightly complex carbohydrates, but it's going to fight on those first and try to neutralize them and make sure they don't become fat. Well, the only way to neutralize those simple calories is to use those up before they become fat. And the end result of that can be, some bloating, some burps, some negative things that some of us don't really like. And so just keep in mind that if you are one of those people who eats a lot of carbohydrates, when you take micro, you might consider spreading it out. And even if you're willing to, bring down how much rice, pasta, bread, and sugars you eat throughout the day. You'll see a much more magnified benefit.
That's good news. Thank you very much. Can I ask another question? I know I have a bunch of questions. Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to do some labs here in maybe a couple weeks. If I start to take the micro, do you happen to know if that could possibly help just within that 2 weeks? And if I start eating a little bit different, like cutting out certain kind of foods?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, do you think that it would benefit me even within that 2 week? There'll be like a difference in my labs, like especially like my A1C.
Yes. Now you will start to see the difference. You won't see them fully realized, but you will definitely start to see those differences. I know Dr. Carroll started seeing those within days in some of his clinical trials.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's good news.
Particularly as it came down to A1C and blood sugar. Those were the 2 big ones.
Okay, good. Do you happen to know about cholesterol at all?
I know it was positively influenced, but I don't have those numbers. I'll make sure I ask Dr. Carroll about that next time.
Okay, thank you so much. The whole A1C part and the sugar, that's awesome. That's great news. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay, any other questions or comments before we wrap up, my friends? Micro, silky smooth.
Hi, Jason.
CBX4.
Hi, Jason.
Hello, who's this?
This is Galen from Las Vegas.
Hi there.
Yeah, I work nights, so I have to take micro at night, right? At 6 o'clock, because I start at 11.
Are you saying you start work at 11?
11 to 7, yeah.
Oh,
11
yeah.
at night.
Well, yes, in your case, that's a good idea. So my recommendation was simply you don't want to take CBX or you don't want to take micro within 6 hours of going to sleep. Don't take micro within 6 hours of going to sleep. I hope that was clear. I said it twice.
Yeah.
Good.
So I want to be active, that's why.
Yeah. So in your case, if you go to work at, you said 11 o'clock p.m.?
Yes. Yes.
And how long is your shift, may I ask?
8 hours.
8 hours.
11 to 7, yeah.
Okay, so if I were in your shoes, I would take my micro about 10 o'clock, maybe 10:30, and then I would take just one capsule, and then I would take my second one about 4 to 6 hours later, maybe 4 hours.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Probably not 6, as I think about this, probably not 6 hours later. So take it maybe 1 hour before your shift. And whereas you have an 8-hour shift, take the second one maybe 3 to 4 hours into your shift. That way, when you finish your shift, you can take your CBX4 and go right to sleep and sleep like a baby.
Oh, okay. That's nice. Okay, thank you so much, Jason.
My pleasure. Okay, any other questions or comments? Micro, Silky Smooth, or CBX4?
I have a question, Jason. This is Deborah.
Yes, Deborah.
How do we share like this webinar right now? How do we share that with potential clients or customers or whatever?
Well, I'm recording this, so I'm going to post this into the back office. So you, as an active member of TruIQ, you can access this anytime. We'll probably place it on YouTube as well.
Okay, that was my question, because if it's in our back office, can we actually send it out in an email to people?
It'll be a link. It will be a link.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Okay, my friends, I see we're just about out of time. So thank you so much for joining us here and your interest in these 3 amazing products. I'm here to tell you they work, and I know you as members of TruIQ know they work as well. And Deborah's question, I think, is perfect. How do we share the good news? That's why we have these conversations. And to the extent that you will continue to learn about the specifics and the details of these natural medicines, organic compounds, and powerful nutrients that fix health problems organically, naturally, safely, without side effects, and without a prescription, to that extent, your success will be unlimited. So thank you for joining us here tonight. I'll see you right back here next time.